I'm Brandon Macdonald, CEO of Fireweed Metals. I'm excited. The very notion of me describing myself as excited at one point would have made my friends burst into laughter. I'd earned the nicknames in university, Brandroid, and even better, Blandon, for my for my refusal to express much in the way of excitement or emotion about anything. But I'm excited now, and what am I excited about? Not cautionary statements. But I am excited about some forward-looking statements I'm going to make. We have an exciting 3 months, 6 months, 2 years, 10 years, 100 years ahead of us in these projects. That's pretty forward-looking. And what are these projects? Really the two flagships I'll focus on today, McMillan Pass and Mactung. We also have an exploration project north of there, Gaina River. I'd be happy to discuss at a separate time. But it's Mac Pass and Mactung, which are really driving the company forward these days. And as Eric mentioned, really the success we've been having there led to 2 investments from the Lundin family, first in November last year, and then just recently a top-up so we could expand our drill program. So they own about just under 20% of the company right now after investing about $25 million into us over the last couple of rounds. And I would note as well, Teck, the world's 3rd largest zinc miner, for as long as they do exist anyways, they've invested quite a bit in us over the last 4 years, seeing the potential in our project as well. So, this is a share registry we're extremely proud of and extremely tightly held. And, the key driver of this has been our McMillan Pass project. Geez, I started coming to MIF when we launched this company. I think a bit like Sendero, my first MIF was a week before we traded, I think. So, we've had a lot's changed. When we launched the company, we had bought the Tom and Jason deposits off Hudbay. There had been a historic resource on them. We did some drilling that summer of 2017, put out a resource in early 2018. You can see it there. Pretty great. This sort of made it 25th-ish largest zinc project globally. But we've had a lot of success since there. And I'm not going to belabor every drill intersection here, but I would highlight, at least one, that this was some drill intersections, and what all of these have in common, as amazing intersections as they are, is they all sit outside that 2018 resource. That intersection, 12.3% zinc, 1.3% lead, and 46 grams silver over 124 meters at Boundary. That was the best ever intersection at the project, and that was last summer. I mean, it was the best ever intersection until this summer. But that highlighted a year, 2022, where 6 out of the top 10 drill intersections all time on the project were that year. And we've already beaten that this year a couple times. And in context, so that old resource, that 11 million tons indicated, 39.5 million tons inferred, kind of places the project at, at that sort of level, about 4.6 million tons contained zinc plus lead. Like I said, about a 25th-ish largest zinc lead project globally. We're pretty comfortable that the next resource update, which we're targeting Q1 next year, will something around double the tonnage there. And it starts to put us in that realm of the rewards, the Zawars, the Ozernoyas, Taylor Hermosa. And as you know, Taylor Hermosa, a big splashy deal in 2018, $2.1 billion all cash for that project. So when we think that we're going to start to approach that, and I think we'll eventually have that in our rearview mirror, you can see why at $200 million valuation, as big as that is from where we were just a few years ago, we think we have a lot of room left to go. And so much of our success has been at Boundary Zone. That this is an area I highlighted a couple slides ago, that incredible intersection we'd had there. We'd previously divided this in West and Main, which you can see the surface projections there. Main was originally this area that Kamenko had drilled up until the 80s, and we had some great intersections there. These super broad, sort of mid-grade intersections, 230 meters of 4.5% zinc from surface, but some real high grade within that, and it was shaping up to be a very interesting potential for a pit. But it was Boundary West, which we found with a gravity survey based on a hunch and a theory in 2020, that kind of blew this open. This was a true stratiform zone at the Boundary area. Some mineralization looking quite like Red Dog, a massive barite horizon completely replaced by sulfides. Other stuff, these classic laminated sulfides that you see at Tom and Jason. But grades there, 10.5 meters of 24% zinc in the one horizon, and that red horizon off section here is where we hit that 123 meters of 12.3% zinc. And I would note, we've got one drill hole on there from the top left, NB8309. That's an old Cominco drill hole. They went through a fault and shut down the hole, figuring they were in the wrong rocks once they were on the wrong side of that fault. From our own 3D modeling, it looks like they shut down that hole about 4 meters short of the purple horizon there, where we hit the 10 meters of 24% zinc. So their loss, our gain, that led to our discovery. Really, and the continued drilling at Boundary West and Boundary Main there highlighted seemingly two different stratiform zones that were grading higher grade as they went to the area untested in between them. So we saw some real potential there. And straight into it this year, our first holes this year, and the first 7 announced have been in that area. Notably, I talked about that intersection last year, the best ever on the project. And I know in gold, you talk about gram meters. We talk about, zinc equivalent percent meters. That big intersection last year was about 2,600, percent meters. This NB2307 hit 2 different intersections in the same hole, 82 meters of 12% zinc, and some solid lead and silver credits, and then 118 meters of 15% zinc. And again, even better lead and silver credits. That is about, I think, 4,500% meters in terms of, if you want to think about the totality of the hole. So almost twice the previous best on the project. So this stratiform zone proving out to be super exciting. We've got a bunch of all the intersections you see there in purple are pending. We've released 7 holes this year. We've got 64 holes total, which will be finished. We're just wrapping up the drill season now. So a lot of drill intersections yet to come, including some, between 25 and 140 meters intersected of massive sulfides in some of those holes. So sure to be some absolute bangers in that. And, it's not just Tom, Jason, End Zone, and Boundary, which have been so important to this project. I talked about 100 years ahead of us here. We have another 12 or so targets on this project. This is a true district, right? I think it's very easy to abuse the term district. When you have 4 known deposits and you have signs of 12 more, you have a district. This is what got the Lundins excited, and this is what's got Teck excited. And interestingly, right next door, the Macdonald project, which you might have known from North American Tungsten, they operate the Cantongas mine as well. This was their crown jewel. This was going to be the greatest tungsten mine in the world, and China predictably flooded the market and put them out of business. We bought this somewhat opportunistically from the government last year, and it's right next door. And interestingly, geologically unrelated. But if you don't know that the tungsten story, this is, as one person we work with described it, it's all the market dynamics of rare earth with about 3% of the attention. 85% of mine supply comes from China. The U.S. Department of Defense has mandated the defense contractors can no longer source their tungsten from China or Russia, which has made the situation extremely tight for them. So, come by our booth. We've got a tungsten cube there so you can feel one of the key characteristics of tungsten. It is extremely heavy, is extremely hard, and is extremely high temperature. This makes it completely irreplaceable. And this is what has the U.S. in particular scrambling for a Western supply. So, this project, Mactung, similar sort of contextual chart like we'd used for our zinc project. The difference is the Mactung absolutely stands alone. It is a freakish outlier in the tungsten space. We could produce everything that North America needs for 40 or 50 years. It's truly a multi-generational opportunity, and something that the governments of Canada and the U.S. fully recognize. So we just released a updated resource there in June, kind of reaffirming the historic numbers of when we bought it, and registering this as absolutely the best, if not the best tungsten deposit in the world, certainly the best outside of China. And what does all this lead to? We're definitely not in a good market right now, and I think that we all recognize, it's been highlighted by a couple different presenters here so well, that for all base metals there is a huge supply gap coming. It's not just the demand story, it's also the supply story. Huge chronic underinvestment. We think that we have one of the leading emerging zinc districts in the world. We certainly have the best tungsten project in the West. We have extremely strong backers. We're lucky that we can raise money when we want on the terms we want. We have a huge year coming ahead of us, not just those drill results coming for the rest of the year, but also a resource update on our zinc project, Q1, and economics for both studies coming shortly after that. So I hope you tune in and join us for what's going to be an incredible year for us. I'm here and happy to answer questions. Thank you very much.